Okay, hello guys. So this is gonna be the third and final part of this video, and yeah, let's just start off by seeing how I've wanted this guy to behave for the most part. So if we just stop this again, and we'll just move him out of the way a bit, just so we can see his full functionality. Okay. And if we play that and then just exit out, you'll see he's roaming around right now, just kind of doing his own thing. And then if we get our VR pawn and bring this guy over here, now if we move him, our VR pawn close enough, he will spot and he will begin attacking when he's close enough. Oh, sorry, he'll chase and then he'll begin attacking. And then if we move him away, you should see it will continue to chase again. It's up until he's close enough and then start attacking. And I've also added another piece of script into here, which is this AI controller can die. So if I click that correct, you'll see he dies, and that's the end of him. Okay, so let's see how it was done. So on begin play, I've changed quite a few things. I know in the first video one of the things I didn't do was promote this to a variable that is going to be necessary. That's the same as the first video. So yeah, it goes through a sequence and then it switches on AI state depending on what it's being set to. Next it checks the distance, and then it checks if the AI controller is dead or the knight character is dead. Okay, so the roam, I don't think this script has changed at all since the last video, but I'll go through it for the sake of it. So for the roam, what happens is this custom event is called, oh no, sorry, the custom event's created here and it's called here. And it's just basically setting the walk speed, getting the active location, and just getting a random point in the navigable radius, delaying for the idle, and then it calls the roam again. The chase, this hasn't changed much either. I don't think this this branch was here, but if it's not attacking, it will chase. And then yeah, set the walk speed again. That just makes sure that when the character is chasing, it's running. And then we get the player pawn, and that would be the VR pawn. And then here is our knight pawn, which would be this one over here. And then on fail, we want it to chase. Finally, our attack. This is probably one of the most complex ones. So when the attack function is called, it looks at the player and then it sets if it can attack to negative. And then it sets is attacking true. It gets a random integer between 0 and 1. And depending on what that value is, it will go either up here and it will play our heavy attack, or it will go down here and play our light attack. And then finally they both come back to the same node, which is setting is attacking false and can attack again. On our on C player, we used our pawn sensing on C node, and we only want this to do once, because once it's spotted, it toggles this variable, and once that variable is on, it will continue to chase. And that's set up in another function, which I'll show you in a second. Another custom event that we created was the die custom event, and this again does it only once, because once it's dead, it's not coming back. And again, it looks at the player. We could probably get rid of this, to be honest, but I've left it in there. But yeah, then it looks at the player, which is another custom node, a custom event, which I'll show you in a second. And then it sets the animation mode, The other two are using montages, whereas this one is using setting the animation mode and then playing an asset. This is just to keep it dead after and stop it from looping the death animation. Finally, we disable movement too, so to stop any sort of roaming or attacking or chasing functionality. This script here is to simply just cast to our blueprint, our sword blueprint in our VR controller, and it just sets it to dead. So that will then go to our check dead custom event, which is another function, and then we use a set timer by function name and set this time to 1 second, and our dead here, which is our function over here. Finally, we set looping to true to make sure it's constantly looping and always checking if the AI is dead. Likewise with our check distance, this is the same node, but just different function name. Okay, so now I can show you. Let's start off with the death one. The death one's more simple. So all it will do once this function is called, it will go through a branch and check if it's dead. If it's dead, it will call the die custom event, which is here, which will cause it to die here. And so this one's a bit more complicated, which is checking a player distance. So this was all done in the first video, but I've since made a few changes. So yeah, it starts off with a getting actor location, which is the whole blueprint, the whole AI blueprint, and then it gets our player pawn and gets the actor location for that, subtracts it and sets it as a vector length, and then that is set as our player distance, which is over here. If this value is less than or equal to 500, it will go to this. Actually, let's go through this branch first. So yeah, if this branch, if the AI can see the player, it will then allow it to go through into this node, into this branch, which is if it is less than 500 units away. Then if that is true, if it's less than 200 units, it'll go through another branch and check if it can attack and if it can see the player again. This can see player probably is not really necessary, but I've added it in there and I don't want to break it. So and then oh sorry, that's not meant to be like that. But yeah, then it goes through this branch and checks if it can attack and can see the player, and it sets, if it's true, it sets the walk speed to 0, which would prevent the AI from sliding and attacking at the same time, with the target of our character movement component. Finally, it sets is attacking to true, and it calls our attack. What's it called? Attack custom event. And then if it's not within 500 units, then it will go to check if it can see the player. If it can see the player, it will continue to chase. If it can't, it won't do anything, and just leave it in the state it is. So now if we go back to our event graph right here and just double check that I've gone through everything. Oh, so this is another custom, this is the look at player node that you'll see in the attack and the die. So what we're doing here is calling this custom, or starting this custom event, and we're going to get the actor location and get our player pawn at actor location again, and then find look at rotation. So this would basically make it so the actor is looking at the player, and yeah, then we break this rotator and set our yaw, because we don't want it to rotate along any of these axes. We only want it to rotate, or along any of these axes. We only want it to rotate on our Z, which would be our left and right, like around on the pivot sort of thing, if you know what I mean. And finally, yeah, that sets the actor location, and that's pretty much good to rock. So yeah, I hope this this video has been some sort of helpful. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please leave a like or a comment if you guys have any questions and maybe I can help you.